Hello and welcome to the Pirates vs. Ninjas Hunter card showcase. First up, we've got a common card. It is the Master Cartographer, a 2-mana 2/1 minion with Battlecry. Silence a minion with Taunt. Now this card is very strong in a sort of face deck because it gets rid of the taunt, and then you can push past the taunt. You can chart a course directly for your opponent's face, and it gives aggro Hunter a little bit of love. Love that it really doesn't get very often, believe it or not. Next up, we have another common. It is Unleash the Core Hounds, an 8-mana spell. Summon a 2/4 Core Hound pup for each enemy minion. Now, the Core Hound pup is a 3-mana 2/4 beast. At the end of each turn, summon all Core Hound pups that died this turn. This is a card actually from Blackrock Mountain. And this card is very slow. It's a bit sluggish, but it is very hard to get rid of, and it is very good in a control matchup, or even maybe against an aggro deck if you have enough health to stabilize, because these minions are very, very difficult to get rid of. As long as one of them survives, it'll summon the rest of them. So if you summon all 7 of these, and then all 7 of them are there, 6 of them die, and 1 remains, all 6 of the rest come back. And it's each turn, so your opponent has to get rid of all of them at once. They can't risk leaving one up, because it'll just be a waste of their time. So you can control the board by sacrificing them, and it is a very slow but very strong board control tool. Next up, we have the Monster of the Lake, 7-mana 6/8 with Stealth, a very simple and very durable hiding minion. It is just a big, solid minion. It is not a beast, which means Hunter doesn't really have a lot of synergy with it, but it is just a solid, big card that your opponent can't really deal with. It's not really an aggressive card. 7 mana to get 6 damage if your opponent doesn't have a taunt isn't very powerful, but it is very powerful at controlling the board because a big pile of stats typically gets removed really fast. But with this, it can, sort of guaranteed get a kill on another enemy minion, and then your opponent still has to deal with it. So it is very strong at controlling the board if it is full of minions, although it is very, very slow and very susceptible to things such as Deadly Shot. Next up, we have the first rare for Hunter. It is Spyglass, a 2-mana spell. It says, draw a card. Reveal the top card of each deck to both players. A very simple sort of cantrip kind of card. You play it, you draw a card, and you know what the next card each player is going to draw is. Which allows you to do a few things. It allows you to plan a little bit better against what your opponent is and what you're doing, but they get the same deal, but you get to draw a card, so you get a bit of an advantage in the end. And if you're thinking a bit better than them, if you're playing better than them, you'll probably figure out a way to use it to your advantage more than they will. Next up is a minion for the Hunter. It is 4 mana, 3/2 ninja, Froggu. Battlecry, if you control a ninja, summon a 3/2 ninja with Stealth, which is on the right there. It is the same thing, it's a Froggy. And this card is very strong in a ninja deck, because you get a 3/2 and you get another 3/2. It's also very strong in a ninja deck if you're using Bran Bronzebeard, because you get 2 3/2s with Stealth, and it's just really cool. I mean, it's got its ninja frogs. What don't you like about it? So you put it in your ninja deck, right? You got all your ninjas. You're playing ninjas all the time. So this is very likely to trigger, and 2 3/2s for 4 mana, one of them having Stealth, is a good deal. A very nice deal. A deal most ninja decks would definitely be okay with taking. Next up, we have the Masamune, a 4-mana 3/2 weapon for Hunter. After your hero attacks, the next time you use your hero power, it can target minions. This is a very slow but very, very value-heavy card. It's a Fiery War Axe, but it costs 2 extra mana. A big investment, but for a very good effect. A 3/2 weapon, as we all know, is quite good. For 4 mana, it's a bit expensive, but after you attack, you can use your hero power to target minions, which means you can pay 2 mana to deal 2 damage to a minion, which is a very good thing. It allows for crazy good board control. If you need your weapon to deal more than 3 damage, you can pay 6 mana and deal 5 damage, or you can pay 4 mana, deal 3 damage, and then pay 2 mana, deal 2 damage, and you could split the damage and kill 2 things, or you can kill 1 big thing. There's a lot of options for this card to get very high value, and it has a lot of value just in letting Hunter control the board better in a more powerful way. Up next is the first epic. We have the Flintlock Hunter, a 1-mana 1/1 pirate with Battlecry. Your hero power costs 1, and only deals 1 damage to heroes. At first this card might seem kind of silly. Only 1 mana and only deals 1 damage doesn't really seem to help. If on a turn you only have 1 mana left, you can still get 1 damage, but if on a turn you had 2 mana left, it wouldn't really help, it would just make it worse. But its real value comes in with the last card we talked about, the Masamune. It does specify only heroes, so if your hero power is ever used on minions, it still deals 2 damage, and only 1 mana after using the Masamune or a Steam Weedle Sniper is absolutely devastating. And it is for the rest of the game, which makes it even more powerful. Also incredibly powerful if you're using cards like Sir Finley Murgleton to switch hero powers, because you can play a card like Sir Finley, pick a different hero power, and all the other hero powers to become insanely strong when they're only 1 mana, because they don't actually have a downside. In fact, Soul Tap becomes way better. You play 1 mana, draw a card, and you're only hurt yourself for 1, because it is hero. You're a hero, you only take 1 damage. And all the other hero powers just cost 1 less. They don't actually have a downside when played with this. This card allows for some very strong value playing from the hunter with their hero power. It also, even if you never get any of those combos to make a really effective hero power, you can still play it with an Inspire minion and you only pay 1 instead of 2, which is a big deal. You can play any Inspire minion a turn earlier and get tons of value with it, compared to when you would have had to play it another turn later to get the first Inspire effect going. Very strong card, very powerful with a card like Masamune, which we just talked about, or a card like Steam Wheel Sniper, or any other hero power in the game, truly. A very strong minion for the hunter. Next up we have the Forest Spirits, our second epic. It is 6 mana spell for hunter. Discover a Forest Spirit. Instead of adding it to your hand, summon it. So it kind of flips Discover on its head. Normally with Discover you get 3 options based on the permutations the card gives, and you pick one, it gets to your hand. In this case, the permutations are Forest Spirits, which are the 3 cards on the right, and instead of adding to your hand, it gets immediately summoned to the board. Now, the 3 spirits we have are the Holy Spirit, the Hawk Spirit, and the Harassing Spirit. They all cost 6 mana, although that is mostly irrelevant. They are all ninjas, and they all are fairly effective. They're not incredible. For example, you have the Holy Spirit, which is kind of a jack of all trades. It's kind of average. It's very strong. It's a 6 mana 5/5 Divine Shield. You have the Hawk Spirit, which is a bit more aggressive. It has extra attack and stealth to protect itself. And you have the Harassing Spirit, which has a bit extra health and taunt to protect your hero and your other minions. So this card is very strong because it gives you options. It lets you choose which one you want. It is a spell, which means it fits beautifully into Yogg-and-Load Hunter, a fantastically fun deck that just really doesn't get the love it needs to be amazing. Now this does fill in the 6th slot, which Thaurissan kind of already fits in, but having 2 extra cards that already work is great for Yogg-and-Load. Yogg-and-Load already has a bunch of spells that summon minions, which is exactly what it needs to be amazing and cool in every single way. Lastly, we have the Hunter Legendary. It's a 5 mana 3/6 ninja, She, the Trapmaster. Battlecry, give each hero a random secret. Whoever's secret is activated first gains 10 health. A very strong, slow, sort of control-themed card, anti-aggro type thing. You play it down, both players get a random secret. It could be from any class, and you're going to be able to know which class based on the color. So then, each player has to try to figure out who the other person's secret is without triggering the other person's, because they don't want the other person to get 10 health. So you want to dance around secrets, remember all the secrets, because you are dealing with a random one. You know, it could be Dart Trap. Maybe you don't want to use your hero power if the Paladin, or sorry, the Hunter secret is up. Maybe you don't want to play a 4th minion if Paladin is on the other side. It could be Sacred Trial. You never know. You want to try to avoid giving your opponent 10 health, and both players are doing this. Now, if you're the hunter, you fortunately have a card like Flare around. You can just get rid of it, and then you're going to get the 10 health unless they do something similar to your secret. And it's very good for control because you play it. It's not a great stat line on the minion for its cost, but you do get a free secret. Your opponent does as well, but you have more options that are a lot cheaper to destroy it, unlike your opponent, who, if they're not a hunter, has to be using something like Eater of Secrets. So you can get your 10 health, and against an aggro deck, they kind of have to keep hoping they don't trigger it. If you get something like Explosive Trap, Freezing Trap, Snake Trap even, you're pretty much guaranteed to get 10 health against an aggressive deck. Even if you get something like Counter Spell, something like Cat Trick, anything that interacts with spells, you're probably going to hopefully get that 10 health. And it lets you stabilize and control the board, plus the body, while not great, is still pretty good. And against another control deck, it doesn't really matter, 10 health isn't a big deal, so you just hope you get a better secret, more value. That is the Hunter card showcase. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.